Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Mind Your Business. I am Stephen Meadows, as always, and I am joined by a really fun co-host today, Reggan Jastram, and she is out in Park City, Utah, I believe.
Yeah.
I lose track. You're all over the place. Reggan is amazing. I've gotten to work with her several times in the last few years on different projects, so I thought it'd be really fun to just have a conversation with her. She's got a really great background. So we're going to be talking about things like agent motivation and motivating your team, motivating your office or yourself, whatever, and kind of cutting through all the noise that we're getting right now. I think it's hard to stay motivated because there's just so much interference out there. So I would like Reggan to tell you guys a little bit about herself, and then we will jump right in.
Perfect. Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. This is kind of fun because we met like on the socials a handful of years ago. And then oddly enough, I ended up at Coldwell Banker. Remember, I called you. I called you. You were one of my first calls to say, let's talk about this. So that was really exciting. So I've been in real estate about 20 years, licensed 18, and I owned my own independent brokerage for 7 years prior to going to Coldwell Banker, which then I took over the management of their Park City office. And we've got an office here in Heber City, which is where I live. And I ran that for 2 years and actually just stepped back in April. And I just went back to sales, and I've got a team that when I had my brokerage, we brought the brokerage over as a team. And so I'm kind of stepping back into that and running that team I had a team lead, Marianne. So her and I are running that together. And it's kind of been a fun transition the last handful of months.
That's awesome. So let's just dive right into that. That's an interesting topic. So how would you characterize the difference between managing a team and managing an office?
I would actually say it's very, very similar. You know, an office, you have much larger scale things, and you're obviously, but we're still looking at the bottom line. We're still trying to make money. We still have expenses and things we're paying for. And I think it's actually very, very similar, just a little more intimate.
Where would you say the differences lie? Like challenge? My opinion, I feel like a team leader has a little more authority, or you have a little more leverage over your team members. It's do it my way, or else you will be invited to be a free agent. Whereas a manager doesn't always have that because they're independent contractors. So how did you navigate the difference there?
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like even as a broker, before we took this team over here, even as my own independent broker, they're all independent agents, and I can tell them all the things I want, but they can go anywhere they want. They can do whatever they want. That's why we all got into this business, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we did. And so then taking the group that I had and taking over this Park City office, which was about 80 agents, we ran about 80 agents, same thing. You can give them all the knowledge and the tools and all the things, but you can't force anybody to use them. But as far as being on my team, there are benefits that the team provides. So in order to play on our level, you have to do some of the things we ask you to do. Therefore, like meetings, I can tell you have to be at my meetings. Whereas like a sales meeting for a brokerage, you can't force anybody to go. So yeah, things like that.
Yeah, I've definitely played on both sides of that fence, in the corporate world, and then now at running an affiliate, Coldwell Banker affiliate. People say, well, just tell them they have to. That's not how this works. But I will say from a training perspective, that was always a frustration of mine when I was a brand ambassador with Coldwell Banker, and I would be out there talking to brokers, and so I was a liaison between the broker owners and the franchise, and I would be out there and say, oh, we can't get agents to attend training, we're hiring these new agents, but I can't force them to train, and so I said, what do you mean you can't force them? I'm like, well, they're independent contractors. I can't dictate anything. I'm like, you can make things, that's what I don't know if you can say they're required, but you can incentivize the behaviors you want and de-incentivize the ones you don't want. Mm-hmm. We created a program a while ago called the Jumpstart program, and there are certain incentives that the agent gets, but they only get those incentives if they complete their training. So right. I was an agent with one of the largest brokerages in the country, Cry Like Realtors. I could not take floor time couldn't get any kind of calls or anything until I had completed 80% of their training, and their training was multiple weeks long. And I had to drive 45 minutes to their hub, their training center, and I had to do all this. And I was a broker at the time. I was not new to the business, but that rule was across the board. And if I wanted business, I had to follow the rules, and I just did it. So it does baffle me when I think sometimes brokers are, I don't want to say afraid, but they're afraid of their agents. They're afraid that, well, I don't want to make them mad. It's like a true salesperson should want to be held accountable.
Well, that is correct. And the fun thing about, like, you know, the leadership team here in Utah, when I took over that office, is we were given, you know, carte blanche to run our offices the way we wanted to run them. They were very good at saying, you run your office how you want. And our offices are all different. Our Park City office was so different than the office in Salt Lake. Culture-wise, agent-wise, price-wise, so many things. So you can't expect the same thing out of each office. But it did take me a minute to, you know, figure out that really was true, that they really were going to just let me do it my way. Because, you know, when you come from owning your own place to going corporate, it is totally different. But the one thing I did really start owning at the end was, you know, when I took on, especially brand new agents, I didn't take on all the brand new agents, because new agents are hard.
Mm-hmm.
They are, and they require a lot more work and training and all the things. But I, you know, as I brought them on, I would say, all right, here's what I expect of you as a new agent, and I can't force it, but otherwise I'm not going to take you unless you're going to commit to this. Mm-hmm. And I started getting better. You know, I started seeing the results were better when I started, like, owning that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've kind of put a line in the sand that we want agents to feel that it is a privilege to work for our brokerage. You know, we are going to invite you to work for us. You pass the test, because, you know, there should be a standard. And part of that standard is our agents are highly trained, and our agents are highly ethical, and all of those things that go along with it. And part of getting fully trained and all that, it means going through all the steps. And if you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to put the time and effort in, then we're probably not the best brokerage for you. Oh. And of course, you know, me being the snarky one that I am.
What?
Like, well, I know, right? What a shock. Yeah. Like, what else do you have to do? Unless you have another job, you know, but some of these folks, like, you don't have a job, and yet you can't make it to training. Like, I start to question your motivation at that point, and whether you really want to be in real estate, or if you just heard it was a fun way to make lots of money.
I think the standards got much lower just across the board in 2020, when it was quote unquote easy money. And it wasn't. Being a buyer's agent wasn't easy. It was hard. I mean, I can't tell you how many houses I showed. Like, I was showing that summer and writing 30, 40 offers to get nothing. Like, it wasn't easy, but that's what the illusion was. So people are like, oh, it's an easy job. Yeah. If you do it long enough, you realize it is not an easy job. It is not at all.
No. Well, that's what they say. You know, if you can survive 3 years in this business, you'll probably be okay. And that's really when I hit my stride, was my third year. That everything just sort of clicked all of a sudden. You know, I was getting the referral business, the return.
For me too.
It's weird how that plays out for so many people. It's like the first couple years, you might have instant success, because there are people out there that do. But for some reason, that third year just seems to be okay, I've arrived.
Well, you know? And funny, because my third year was 2009, which was a crap year. Really. So, yeah. Now that you say that really makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So how would you, let's talk a little bit about motivating your team. We'll start with the team level, and then we'll move it up to like a brokerage level. And, you know, agents out there, if you're listening, these can be things that you can just take on for yourself. You don't have to have a team in order to implement these, but, you know, somebody on your team comes in and they say, Reggan, I need more business. I'm just not making the kind of money I need to make. What is your first response to them?
How much time are you putting into your business?
And what do they usually say?
Are you treating it like a business? Usually it's not very much time. It's not very much. That's typically the main thing every single time. You want to make more money, put more time in. And, you know, we all know that what I'm doing today is typically for 90 to 100 days down the road. It's not going to pay off next week. Right. Very rarely is that the case. So you've got to keep doing, you know, if you spend 10 hours a week in your real estate business, whatever that looks like, you're going to make a 10-hour-a-week paycheck down the road.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's what I think. I mean, I'm one of those people that works all the time though. And I don't know that I'm the fair judgment because, that's not fair either. I don't, but I do okay. Yeah. So I think it's a direct equation. What you put in is what you get out, but it also isn't instant. And that's a really hard concept, especially when your money's running up or, whatever you did to get yourself this time to dive into real estate, it goes quickly. We know that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So then they say, okay, fine. I'm willing to put the time in. I just don't even know what to do. I mean, I'm assuming if they're on your team, there's probably plenty of things that they're told what, to do. But like from your team's perspective, like where does someone start? So I'm hungry. I need to get some business in my pipeline. I go to you, my team leader. What are you going to tell me to do?
The first thing I'm going to tell you to do is, does everyone in your SOI know that you're a real estate agent? Because probably they don't. Because statistically, what is it? 92, I think it may be a little bit less now. Business comes out of your SOI. That's like a big feeder if you really think about it. But people are afraid. I had a team leader at Keller Williams when I actually very first got started. She's a very prominent lady down in Salt Lake. She's fantastic. I was very skeptical. I didn't want to reach out to my friends. Like I didn't want to bother them, right? With my marketing or my text message or my call or my business card. And she sat me down, she was like, knock it off. She's like, if they are your friends, a postcard in the mail is not going to inconvenience them. And I was like, wow, like it was like a light bulb moment for me. Like it really isn't. I'm happy to support all of my friends' businesses. Why am I not expecting that they would support mine? And maybe they're not buying or selling. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I had my friend Kurt Francis out in San Diego, brilliant guy. He and I were doing a chat one time, and he said, I don't buy that excuse either. Exactly like your friends. Okay, he goes, if they are your friends and you truly think that you are the best person for them to work with, you owe it to them to make sure they know that you're able to help them. You're doing them a disservice by not telling them that you're in the business because you're expecting them to go out and use a subpar agent. Because you're afraid, and I'm expanding what he said a little bit, but you're afraid to bother them, and now they're going to get stuck with potentially an agent that doesn't know a thing about anything. Mm-hmm. They could have used you, and now they're having a terrible experience, and it's your fault. Well, I'm like, really interesting way of looking at that.
It really is, and typically, think about it, and we've all had this happen. If you've been in the business long enough, you've had that friend that for whatever reason, whether it was due to cost or somebody charged a different amount than you or whatever it was, went a different route, and then called you for help when it wasn't going as planned. And you're like, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah.
It's happened. If you've been around long enough, it has happened.
Yep. They'll keep peppering you with questions. Well, my agent told me this. What do you think? I'm not contradicting your agent. It's not my transaction. I don't know the details. I'm not going to be...
Right. I have no fiduciary duty.
It's like asking an attorney for free legal advice. I don't represent you.
Right.
You are not my fiduciary.
Right.
I can get in trouble.
It's crazy. But yeah, I think people are missing the biggest pool of people, and it is their SOI. Like typically, I mean, I would say 95% of my business is repeat or referral business. And it's, I sold all my friends their first houses. We're on second homes. We're on vacation homes now. We're making our way through, but they all send people to me. In fact, as a Coldwell Banker broker, I was a non-competing broker. So I hadn't sold, and even probably the last year that I owned my brokerage, I didn't sell a whole lot. I just was really focused on the brokerage. And it didn't take long. Once I gave my notice, and I had told only a few people because, it was a few months transition till they found a replacement for me. I didn't tell a handful of people till there was an appropriate time to tell the public or whoever, my clients. And I didn't actually tell many people till right after I was done. And the first 2 weeks I had 4 listings. And it's just people
who were available again.
So it's just people that I knew. They, one was referral and the rest were, people I knew. I think there's a lot of value in that SOI that I think people fail to realize. And call your friends, text your friends, send them emails. They don't care. Send them postcards, mail them letters. drop business cards off at their businesses. We all own businesses at this point in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point too. I guess we can segue into this topic. A lot of our friends are probably similar age and are in different stages of their careers, but a lot of them are small business owners. So why wouldn't you want to support them and have them support you in exchange? But even if you don't have a lot of friends owning small businesses locally, support small businesses locally.
Always.
Great partnership. It's a great, we have an agent right now. I'll call her out. Jen Truman. Congratulations. You're amazing. She's working with the SPCA locally. And like every 2 weeks or whatever, she's going out and she's doing a video for one of their pets that are up for adoption.
I love that.
What a cool way to partner with a local organization, get your name out there as a realtor, but also help somebody else too. Like restaurants, like go when you're having lunch at a restaurant, we all have lunch all the time about it. Coffee, what's your favorite coffee place? Ask the owner if you can do a quick 2-minute interview on Reels or something, like whatever.
I found, and I'm a firm believer in giving back and community service and all of those things, and I found that at the height of when I was doing all of that, business was just coming my way. If you give and expect nothing in return. That is the thing, because I did have an agent a handful of years ago that said, well, that's 2 hours out of my day. What am I going to get back? You might not get back anything, but you actually went and did something really good. So don't expect anything back. Your return on investment there, think of it as zero. But for some reason, the universe, it comes back. If you're giving, you will get back.
Yeah.
And
that's actually my personal philosophy, that I provide value with no expectation of return. But it's not because I'm an altruist. I will just people that know me know I'm not an altruist. I don't actually believe that pure altruism actually exists as a concept, but that's a philosophy debate. But yeah, I wrote about it in my first book about networking. It's like, if you walk in with an agenda, they'll smell it a mile away. Absolutely. If they think you're there just to get something out of it, it shows. But if you're just there lending a helping hand, what a nice person. That was so great. We really appreciate your help. Just roll up your sleeves and chip in, and the business will come your way.
Being authentic is key. But now I have a question for you that I thought of last night in regards to being your authentic self and being who we are, because there's something so valuable in that. This is one thing that always ties me up. Professionalism. Okay. And I think I'm an old soul at heart, and I still think that professionalism gets you a long way. Like, our world is so much more casual than when we got into real estate, right? Like, and I'm in Park City. We're selling a lifestyle, but you have to be put together and look presentable and look like I can trust you to sell my $4 million house. Yep. Like, if you show up in overalls, I think you're here to watch my kids. But I also understand we're living in this casual world. So like, what's the fine line between saying, I know my shit, you should hire me, here's why, and I just think that we've lost part of that, and everyone has dismissed it. And I think that that's still very important. And once you get to know clients, then it's a different thing. But that's lost.
So the rule of thumb the rule of thumb that we tell our agents is dress one step above your target audience. So if your target audience is dressed in business casual, then let's say my client generally wears a button down with no jacket. Well, then maybe I should wear a jacket, or maybe I should wear a tie or something, or maybe they're in jeans. And so here's a perfect example. My CEO, almost every day he's in jeans. Dress jeans. So we'll go out on a meeting, and it's so funny. We're like the reverse. He'll be in jeans, a button down, and a jacket, and I'm in slacks, a button down, no jacket. So we're really kind of on equal footing. Yeah. But it's we're dressing to kind of match who we're meeting. It's like, okay, we don't know if these people are shirt and tie people or whatever, so we're going to kind of go middle of the road. If you're out there showing 50-acre tracts of land, it's probably okay to wear boots or whatever.
In the winter, we all carry boots in our car. Oh, look at that.
That's fun. What is that?
We're trekking through, we have farmland here. We're out showing that. But I also think, it's that first impression. still, when you're meeting someone, like show up and look like you own that job, whatever that job is. And you will never catch me in anything but jeans. Very rarely. I teach CE. I'm a CE instructor, even when I teach, but I'll wear like jeans and a blouse and heels. Like, but I see people show up and I'm like, I wouldn't hire you. And I know how good you are, and I wouldn't hire you because you aren't. Here's the thing. We're paying. Okay. How many agents are using selfies for their photos?
Yeah.
Like if I want you to come tell me how you're going to market my house in the best way possible, and you're not marketing yourself in that way, what? Your credibility's shot.
Yeah. I agree. And, while we're on that topic of professionalism, and I think this is the right time of year to be talking about this, please remember religion and politics should just be avoided.
Never.
On social media. I tell agents all the time, don't say anything on social media that you wouldn't say to a client in your car.
That is such a funny thing because people have such strong feelings nowadays, and it is one way or the other. There's
no middle ground.
And I was teaching a CE class a while ago, and I said that, and someone's like, why? And I said, well, I have very strong political feelings. You would never know them. My inner circle knows how I feel. But if I draw a hard line in the sand, I just closed off 50% of the people that I still want to sell houses to. Yep. Why would you do that? We can all be neutral for a minute.
Well, I mean, even humor, even telling jokes and stuff. It's like, I'll just use a random, people with purple hair.
Right.
I don't want to call out an ethnic group or anything like that. So let's say, you make a joke about people with purple hair, and there's a large purple hair population. No, I don't mean senior citizens when I say purple hair. People with purple hair, and you make some crack about someone with purple hair. Well, what if that person was going to be in your car the next day? Or would you say that to them while you're driving down the road? No, because that's basically saying, my car, like, I don't want to work with you. I have a problem with your type of people. And it's like, why exclusionary?
Right. And I think our ideal audience is everybody. So we have to appeal in a very broad sense to everybody. So just tone it down, share your stuff, or create a separate Facebook group where you talk to your people that are in your, whatever it is, but don't.
In closed groups, please.
We all have them.
Yeah.
We all have them.
And you're never going to change anybody else's mind.
No.
I don't know why this is an observation, and we are going down a rabbit hole here, but I think it ties into professionalism too. I've said this multiple times in the last 6 to 12 months. I don't know what has changed in our society, but now I don't know if it's a generational thing or what, but I feel like everybody thinks that their opinion is valid and should be shared unsolicited. I didn't ask you for your opinion. If I wanted your opinion about me, like in the grocery store, people are like, making dirty looks at people, and I can't believe you left your house dressed like that. Or not, they're not saying that to me, obviously. But
obviously,
I have witnessed it, and it's like, who asked you? Like, why do you feel that your opinion of whatever this situation is, A, needs to be shared, and B, is even valid? I don't understand it. And I think in business, we have to really ride that neutral down the middle rail. If you're servicing clientele, just assume that you don't know anything about what they feel about stuff.
Well, put yourself in your own shoes. Like if we're going to call a lawyer, right? You end up needing a lawyer, and we all do it. Now is how we do it. We go to social media. We see if we think maybe we're going to connect with that person or their firm or whoever it is. We all do our own recognizance on anybody before we hire them. And I decide, I get all these recommendations for this lawyer who is supposed to be fantastic. And then I go to her social media and she looks like an a-hole. Yeah. Is that going to be the best person to represent me if we have completely differing views?
Yeah.
Or if she can't just keep her own, opinions in check.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
So I think it's a fine line, but just, I want to sell houses to everybody. I don't care who you are, what you believe, what president you voted for, where you go on vacation. So I will just
what to discriminate on. Are you qualified to buy a house or are you not?
Yes. See,
those are my discriminatory things. Can you afford this house? No, then we're either going to show you something else or something.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't get the mindset of exclusionary talk
No.
and opinions when your job is to literally try to sell stuff to anybody. You know,
Right.
I don't understand. But anyway, so take that as a lesson learned, people.
Yes.
You know, keep your opinions to yourself. Especially, this is my every 4 years is like the worst, and we all know the real estate market is going to come to a grinding halt in like late September, early October, because for some reason everybody thinks that they have to wait to make a decision on what house they want to buy until they know who's going to be the president.
Which we actually talked about this. We talked about this in our team meeting yesterday. We had our lender here, and she said, historically, there is zero correlation. Zero.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the president doesn't get in for 3 months after and can't start implementing things for 3, and they have no control over the Fed and all of these things. And everybody thinks it has no bearing, and it never really has. But it's just, in fact, I was talking to somebody today that brought that up, and I just chuckled. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
The only thing that I would, if I had the means to do so, I would wait to stockpile gasoline before election, because gas prices always magically come down right before a presidential election. Housing, like, it's just such a waste. So, but I bring that up to basically say, you have basically, today is June 4th or June 5th, day of recording. We have 3, 4, 5 months at the most until everything's coming to a dead halt. So you better make your money now, because unless you're really good at ramping back up after the election, your last quarter is going to suck. It's going to be terrible. So you basically have until the end of September to really, really make the money you're going to make this year, in my opinion.
Right. Well, and it always slows down. And then the holidays, sometimes, like, you know, we live in a ski community, so we get a little bit of a pickup ski season, but then it will be slow again till spring. But that's where consistency kicks in. You have to be consistent. And this is, I think, one of the things that the mistakes that agents make is, when you're not feeling it, you're not seeing any traction, so you just stop doing some of the things. But then in 6 weeks, you stop doing some of those things that should have been, pushing, your pipeline forward. And now you're 6 weeks behind where you even were before.
Right. And what kills me, and you guys know who you are, I'm not calling anybody out, is those agents that are like, I'm too busy to prospect. I'm too busy to do my follow-ups, da-da-da-da. Oh, wow, how much business do you have? I've got 2 houses under contract. I just don't know I just don't have time to do anything. It's like, what are you going to do when those 2 houses close in 3 weeks? Like, you have nothing in your pipeline. You're not doing any prospecting because apparently it takes 40 plus hours a week to manage 2 transactions. That's a new one to me. It just baffles me again, but I think it's just they're out of the habit. They've stopped. Oh, I got something. I don't need to work any harder. It's like those animal conditioning things where it's like, push this button and you get a treat. Well, if I have a treat, I'm not going to push the button again because I've got the treat that I want. No, keep pushing the button. Yeah. You can stockpile your treats. Treats will keep coming.
This industry it's a marathon industry. It's a marathon industry. And if you look at the people that make it and are successful, they work all the time. They consistently work. They consistently prospect. And that's different for everybody. I've never picked up the phone and made calls. Not my thing. I would probably sound like the dumbest. I mean, I have, but like, it's not my thing. You want me to show up at a networking event and talk to everybody, and that's where I flourish. So I know where I spend my time, but it's still prospecting.
Yeah.
Calling my SOI, if it's checking in with my SOI, if it's calling leads, that's all prospecting. And it is different for everybody and your market and your niche and what you like to do, but you have to consistently do that every single day.
Absolutely.
And do you know what I think I realized, and it was kind of about the time I met all of you guys, and it was at the COVID time where we all kind of connected online because we didn't have anything else. All of us real estate people kind of connected. I have way more relationships outside the state of Utah with real estate professionals than, in our Park City real estate market is small. I know, know everybody, but I could pick up the phone and call anyone nearly anywhere and get a referral, give a referral, and that's a source of business also. It's
absolutely
a huge source of business.
Yeah, I go to a lot of conferences, and of course, I don't actively list or sell, as most people know. Still, multi-state licensed. I'm a broker, all that good stuff. but I go to these conferences and I network. Like we just came back from our leadership summit for Coldwell Banker in Tampa, and we had like 10 of our people with us. I mean, so we had managers and marketing folks and different people within our leadership structure, and I barely spent any time with them. And I'm like, no offense, but I'm not here for you guys.
Right.
I'm here for these 300 other people that can be sources of business for the company, for me, because I have a consulting business, where I do merger consulting. So, I mean, these are people who could, need my services for that, or it's, they have a piece of technology that we can learn about or whatever. I work the room and I go over and they're just all sitting at the table together. And I'm like, talking to each other is pointless. Why are you stop clumping? Go out.
At the last Gen Blue, Marianne and I went to go. It was the party the last night where we had a huge dance off. We got some videos. Of that. Yes. We had the little lanyards with the pouches, and I was like, all right, because Marianne's definitely more of an introvert even than I am. But if we get a cocktail in us, we can definitely we'll be a little more outgoing. We met so many great people in Atlanta. And so I was like, all right, 20 business cards in your pouch. I'm taking 10. We can't leave the party till we have handed every single one of those out to somebody that's a potential referral source for us. Yeah. Or for our office it was hard. Like sometimes it's hard to force yourself to go talk to people you don't know, but my gosh, the connections we made, even that first year in Arizona, we did really good. Like getting out, meeting new people. That's actually where you and I met in person for the first time.
I think I still have that photo on my phone.
Yeah. And I spotted you in that auditorium from a mile away. I was like, what's this? And we didn't do as much then. And we're very, we're just as guilty of getting a glass of wine and going sitting at our table. But we've been very conscious of, because we can see the returns and having those relationships with people. Like if I've got somebody in Virginia, I'm calling you, right? Hands down. If I've got somebody in Colorado, I'm calling Greg. If I've got, we've got all of these fantastic people that you build this rapport with, that you trust, not just know because, but that you trust to hand your people off to. Yeah. And it's a business, it's a whole business in and of itself. And why wouldn't you want to have all these great connections across the country? Yeah. Like, how cool. All of by
local connections, like landscapers, roofers, handymen, all those industries can be incredible sources of business for you locally. Get to know those people too. Make them a go-to, because you're going to be a good resource now for your clients and customers and potential customers and clients to say, I hear you're having a problem with your roof. I got a great roof company. I can connect you if you want. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And I've talked about this on other podcasts before, but then I make sure that my referral partner knows you better not screw this up.
Right.
Like, I just teed you up. This is a past client of mine. You better take care of them or else I'm not sending you any more business. I'm nice about it. But there should be an expectation of, I have some standards here.
I have huge standards for my clients and who I would hand them off to. And in fact, we just had a very interesting one that didn't turn out as we'd hoped. And it was sadly, it was a CB office and it did not turn out. I was actually really disappointed how that one turned out. And they were local clients of ours here that we were trying to hand off, and it kind of didn't turn out well. And they ended up going with an agent at another brokerage.
Yeah, I've had that happen too.
They felt like they weren't treated very well. That's what it came down to. Yep. And so I think taking exceptional care of your people and other clients or other agents or anyone that you sent your way, take exceptional care of them. Yeah. But I also think that goes, in like a small market where I'm at in Park City, where we all know each other. If you're a good agent and you submit an offer on a deal and there's, you submit an offer and there's 3 other offers, you maybe have a better chance of getting that accepted for your client if you're known as being an exceptional agent.
Yep.
That plays a part.
It really does. I mean, people ask, well, I don't know why I would be involved in the board. I don't know why would I network with other realtors? They're my competition. Competitive competition. We all still have to work together. So absolutely. Again, I know you said about being an old soul. I mean, I started in this business in 2001. And, I feel like an old codger, back in my day. But, back when I said real estate.
Name tags. Back when we wore name tags.
We still faxed our offers after putting them with carbon paper.
Yes, ours was like the 7-page red sea drop. But I was talking to someone the other day. We were like, let's make name tags great again.
Hey, it's actually a great way. You can wear it upside down when you're out in public and people, your name tag's upside down. I see you noticed I'm in real estate.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was from a very small town. I think there were 100 realtors in our entire board, which was our county.
Right.
So I pretty much knew everybody and everybody knew me. I was the youngest agent, in the county for the longest time. And, but we would work together. It would be, I would just call the agent. What can we do to put this deal together? I got your counter offer, and we would talk through it and we'd figure it out and we would go to and everybody would get paid. And I just don't think that happens anymore. I feel like agents it's this mentality of I can only win if I annihilate you. There's no middle ground. I have to either I'm going to win or you're going to win, but both of us can't win. Right.
And I think that, some of the hardest deals I ever had were ones that, were with good agents where we worked together. And sometimes it's that, and nobody likes to do it. Like, all right, you throw in $1,000, I'll throw in $1,000. Let's make this work and put it to bed for everybody's sake, because we just did the best job we could for everybody. I think we've lost sight of that. I always was as my own, when you go to corporate, it's a little bit of a different philosophy, but running my own place, I was far much more of I would rather you do good work than sell 10 houses and be known as a bad, crappy agent. Quality over quantity every day. And I just think that pays off in the end.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's a longer, the finish line's a little longer away. But I think you get there. And I think your reputation is all you have. And if you're known as a good agent, our board here is about 1,200 agents. And, it's that typical 10 to 20% do 80 to 90% of the business. So it's the same people running in the same circles. And, you get that call from an agent, you're like, oh gosh, send me an offer. I'd love to work with you. Or you're like, you again.
Are we going to have the same problem we had before?
And we've all done deals together, and we will all do more deals together. Unfortunately, if we're going to be in this business, that's the thing you have to think of is, it's not, if I want to be in this business, that agent that I had a crappy experience with, it's not if, it's when I will do another deal with that agent. Somewhere along the way, we will cross paths together.
And we tell our agents, like, if you have a bad deal with someone, you need to let us know so we know not to try to recruit them. Like if it was unethical or if they're just bad at paperwork, that's the question we always say is, are they manageable?
Right. Well,
if someone's like cussing you out and being all, shady and that's okay. We don't need that type of agent. We can afford to be a little choosy at this point.
Yeah. But we can teach real estate. We can't teach ethics.
Right.
You actually can't teach work ethic either.
Right.
Like if you can get someone that's hardworking and a good person, you can teach them the real estate.
Absolutely.
That's easy. Yeah.
Yeah. Comparatively. Absolutely. So closing thoughts. This has been a lovely discussion. But if you had to give one or two actionable takeaways to agents right now, someone's listening or watching and going, okay, I'm stalled out in my business. What should I do? Like what, and not just talk to your sphere or whatever, but like what 2 action items should they focus on for the next week or 2? Like activities. What would you tell them?
Well, the activities that we should be doing are always the money-making activities. So I think sometimes you have to stop and evaluate what your business is and where your business is coming from. Like, is it coming from your sphere? Is it coming from leads? Is it coming from open houses? I think a great source for new agents, get out there and open house. I've got 3 vacant listings right now that anybody could open house. You call me tomorrow, you can open house it. I think there's a lot less motivation than people say. They say they're motivated. I don't think they're as motivated as they really claim to be, because I know any agent can open house any vacant listing there is. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think you have to, it's the grind. You have to hustle. Like there is zero substitute for hard work. And it is hard work.
Yeah.
It is hard work.
We, as a company, we invested heavily last spring in an open house we call it the open house concierge program. And we do this whole lead gen campaign. We print their flyers. We do everything for them. Anybody in the company can host an open house. They can just ask the listing agent, or the listing agent can do it, whatever. We're probably doing 10 to 15 open houses a weekend as a company. We're paying for all the ads and everything. And thousands of millions, sorry. We're over 4 million impressions in a year in this program on social and other channels. Like 3,000 or 4,000 leads have been generated from it. I mean, it's just a fantastic program, but we didn't do it as a lead gen reason. We didn't do it for lead gen. We did it because my broker said, I need these agents out in front of people. I need them talking face to face with people. And an open house is the best way to do it. And we tell them, don't just pull into the driveway and go into the house and do an open house. Walk the neighborhood, invite the neighbors, pass out information about the neighborhood, whatever. But like, interact with people. You have a reason to talk to them right now.
Real estate is always has been, always will be a relationship-based business. It doesn't matter. And you can't take the human element out of real estate. You can't. People keep saying, are real estate agents going to be obsolete? You get first-time home buyers that are emotional. You can't, it is a relationship game. Get out there and make relationships, long-standing relationships. Get your name out there. And, it is a numbers game. You knock enough doors, you're going to get a yes. Yeah. You do enough open houses, you're going to get a buyer. You do enough listings, it is a numbers game. Eventually it does pay off. But if I think consistency and hard work.
Yep, absolutely.
And don't give up because you get frustrated, because it's hard. We all do. Even as, tenured people in the business, burnout's real. And sometimes you're just like, screw it. I'm tired of I've had 8 crappy phone calls, and these agents are rude and these clients are rude, and I don't want to talk to anybody. Push through. You have to push through.
Absolutely.
And don't ever end the day on a bad note. Like, if you're making calls and you have people hanging up or telling you no, keep going till you at least get a good conversation. End on that note.
I like that.
Yeah. Then you're not like, it was a total bust. It's not. Because a conversation is a conversation, and you don't know where that will go. And you don't know that you may not run into those people at a chamber meeting in 3 months and them say, oh my gosh, I remember when you called me. Now I'm thinking about listing my house.
Yeah.
You never know.
I think it's like we said at the beginning, cutting through the noise, the interference. There's all this negative, news out there about these lawsuits, and oh my gosh, the whole industry is going to change. And yeah, it probably will to some extent. It always does, though. So I've kind of found the middle ground there, where it's like, I'm not an ostrich. I'm not burying my head in the sand and going, it'll all pass. We'll figure it out. But I'm also not like Chicken Little going, this is falling. It's okay. The cheese is being moved. It's not moved yet, but it's being moved. So I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to plan my strategy on how I'm going to go find the cheese again, and it's just put your head down and get out there. When I hear agents panicking and stuff, I just want to shake them and be like, just go sell a house.
The best agents are the ones that make it through a market shift. And we are very much in a market shift. And it may not even be, this isn't even an economic market shift.
Right.
Our industry forced a shift on us. Yep. And we're getting, the end game is still the same. And getting everybody paid and getting people into the house and getting people out of a house. The end game's the same. It's just getting there. We're taking a little bit of a different route.
Yep.
That's it. But, the best agents can pivot and change and do things differently. That's why, during 2009, 2010, in the short sale era, people that dug in and did short sales killed it because nobody wanted to. I had an 18-month long short sale. Like, nobody wants that. But that's what you have to do to persevere and prevail. And then you're like, I got that knowledge in my belt. We're seeing short sales again here in Utah. We have a handful. I'm like, that's nothing. We got that. That's easy. So,
I did foreclosures in that same period. I had 375 foreclosures in a 5-year period as a listing agent. And people, how did you do that? I'm like, I had bills to pay, and it was a job, and I loved it. It was really interesting. I wouldn't do it now, but in my 20s, it was fun. I loved it. It was just great. But I think you do what you have to do to pay the bills.
And I think, this is a great career. this career has been very good to me. I had kids later in life. I was able to navigate that without having, like, my kids didn't go to daycare. Yeah, I had babysitters and I had help, but I mean, I can't tell you how many times my kids went showings with me if they had to. And it's a great career, and it can be a really great career if you define it that way, but it's not without putting in the work to get there. But you can create it however you want.
Absolutely. Well, Reggan, thank you so much for joining today. This was a riveting conversation. We'll have to do it again.
Yes, let's.
And I apologize, everybody. I know we kind of got down a few rabbit holes, but I try to be free form in these things. It's just conversations. So thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.